Capital News tonight. 10 people taken to court to face charges of leaking the Standard 7 national examinations. Governments commit to continue improved health services to citizens. And in sports, Serengeti Gold commended for entering the World Cup quarterfinals by President Samia Suluhu Hassan. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Khadija Zimbwe. First, the national news. 10 people, including 7 teachers and traders, have been taken to Kisutu Resident Magistrate Court to face 3 charges, including leaking this year's Standard 7 national examinations. Here's more on the story.
In the charge sheet read in court by Senior State Prosecutor Nasoro Katuga, listed the accused as Patrick Chawawa, Teresia Chitanda, Elinami Sarakikia, Joyce Nkomola, Lloyd Mpande, Olomi Odongo, Dorcas Muro, and Alicharas Malinzi. Before Resident Magistrate Pamela Mazengo, it was alleged that between October 2nd and 12th of this year in Dar es Salaam, the accused dispersed the exam through social media applications, WhatsApp and Telegram to people who had no authority. The accused have denied the charges, with only one accused successfully meeting the conditions of bail, which is one sponsor that will sign a 5 million shillings bond, while all others were returned to lockup. According to the prosecution, investigations into the case have not been completed, thus the case was adjourned to November.
The Prime Minister of Tanzania, Kassim Majaliwa, has placed the foundation stone of the construction of Madaba Council Hospital in Ruvuma region, where he assured citizens that the government will continue to further improve health services, including the properly supervised construction to ensure buildings meet the required quality.
Honorable President has said that if the money is not spent well, you will see her colors. And she's handed over them to me, and I will begin to show you. I want to see quality, so I'm asking the manager and the construction committee continue to supervise the building that you are constructing and finish it well with good doors, and you must clear out this area. So we have a ward for women and children upstairs, as well as a ward for men. In the 2021-22 budget, Honorable President instructed me to set aside a budget for more than 8,000 health workers, and some of the doctors and workers must come to the district hospital in Madaha so it begins to operate. 35 municipal councils had no buildings, so when you instructed us, we have sent money to all municipal councils and construction is going on.
Now, a few days after a cholera outbreak has reported in neighboring Malawi at the border to Ileje district in Songo region, residents of the district living close to the border have asked the government to provide them with education on how to avoid the disease.
Huko asilimia kubwa tunatumia sana masuala ya visima.
A large proportion of the population use wells. Water from the tap is rare. We're asking the government to prioritize provision of water to address this problem.
Lakini pia nichukue fursa hii kuwatoa wasiwasi.
Education on how to keep the environment clean is needed, such as on hand wash. I'm a border operator, and we should be provided with hand wash facilities. We're imparting knowledge on how to protect oneself by drinking clean and safe water, as well as washing hands with running water and soap.
maji safi salama.
Now, the governor of the Bank of Tanzania, Professor Florence Luoga, has said that BOT is about to complete a plan for a system that will ensure integrated financial services are easily accessible or without payment, so as to ensure Tanzanians have affordable financial services. Professor Luoga said this after receiving a visit from Queen Maxima of Netherlands, who is also a UN Secretary General's Special Advocate for Inclusive Finance for Development, who is in the country for a special visit.
Kuanzisha mfumo tayari umeshaanzishwa.
The system has started to be completed soon that would ensure inclusive financial services are accessed with ease or free of charge. This is possible by working with a special team. We will see how to expand inclusive financial services to every Tanzanian. This is what we spoke about, and she will be able to speak with other groups later.
So we really need to have a lot of infrastructure pieces there. Also for the SME sector, for example, we need to have the infrastructure as well, like having a credit bureau, a collateral registry, because without that we will not be able to actually make true the whole issue of actually having financial inclusion.
Now, Tanzania Nursing and Midwifery Council TNMC has revoked the licenses of 2 nurses at Mkomaindo District Hospital, Masasi District in Mtwara region after being found to have been negligent, which caused the death of a mother and her child. The 2 nurses, Elizabeth Mjenga and Pascal Mnyalu, were taken before the council with 3 other nurses and 2 doctors accused of the death of Aisha Romanus. The late Romanus went to the hospital to give birth after getting a referral from Lukuledi Clinic from 7 p.m. but did not receive health services despite asking for help.
Kwa maana ya hukumu hii, hamtatakiwa kujishughulisha na shughuli zozote za kiuguzi na ukunga wakati wote mpaka pale ambapo pengine mtapata nafasi, kwa sababu kila mtu ana haki ya kukata rufaa.
Wenzangu pia mliotokewa na matatizo yalionitokea mimi, na kuombeni kwa pesa zenu, kwa nauli zenu, muje sehemu husika kuja kuelewa hili swala au hili tatizo lilokutokeeni, kama nilivyojitoa mwanga mimi watafuta wahusika.
A wave of incidents of diarrhea and vomiting has affected small children between 4 months to 1 year in Songea, Ruvuma region, with the children taken to hospital found to be in a bad condition.
Yesterday at midnight, my child started to vomit and to diarrhea.
Toka tarehe 11 mpaka leo tumepokea wagonjwa 31.
From the 11th until today, we've received 31 patients, male and female children, and once we received them, they're taken to the children's ICU. On arrival, they're weak and they have all come at once. We have taken steps to find out the cause. Water samples have been taken for testing. Banku.
Now, youth in the country have advised the government to review policies, laws and regulations that involve youth so as to provide more opportunities to the group, so as to prepare them to be able to hold various leadership positions at various levels. This was said during a youth and leadership debate prepared in collaboration between Deutsche Welle and ITV, and was attended by the Managing Director of ITV, Joyce Mahavile, as well as the Director of Programming for DW, Naja Scholz.
Mimi naweza kusema kwamba takwimu inaonyesha kwamba 80% ya Watanzania ni vijana. Lakini hiyo takwimu inavyotuonyesha, lakini je, ni vijana wangapi ambao wameandaliwa kwa viongozi?
Unaenda sekondari mwaka 2019 naenda form 2 namaliza masomo yangu ya kidato cha pili. naambiwa naanza kuchagua combination. Kuna science, kuna arts na kuna business. Hapo unaambiwa kwamba ili uweze, sasa nitawezaje kuchagua combination? Siwezi kuchagua combination kwa sababu huko nilishasoma masomo ambayo yalishajaa kichwani na siwezi kuchagua kitu gani amnishike na kitu gani nisishike.
Are aware of the crucial role that our media organizations DW and ITV play in providing you with reliable news, which is why we want to further strengthen and expand our independent-minded content.
Nafasi hii ambayo tunawapa ni platform ya live, mtatazama na watu wengi, na potential kwenu nyinyi kuweza kuchaguliwa kwenye sehemu mbalimbali ni kubwa, kwa sababu mwisho wa siku si kwenye siasa tu. Kuna maeneo mengi sana ambapo nyinyi vijana mnatakiwa kuwepo pia ili muweze kushiriki katika uongozi. Tumerudi tena kwa vijana tena, kwa sababu vijana si taifa la kesho, vijana ni taifa la sasa. Na nafasi yoyote ambayo mnaipata ya kuweza kujieleza, msiache kujieleza.
Now, earlier on the day, the head of programming for Deutsche Welle, Dr. Nadja Scholz, when visiting ITV Capital TV offices, said that DW will continue to strengthen its relationship with ITV and Capital TV so as to ensure youth benefit from capacity building programs and training, which is key for the evolution of digital media.
Really strong and based on mutual respect, and it's a very good cooperation for us, and ITV is a very important partner. I think yes, we within the last years we strengthened our cooperation, and I'd like to go this way, is that we have to find out which platform is coming up, or where we have to be, and where we have to what content does these platforms need, and especially what content do young people need. So what are they interested in? But also our mission is free information for free minds. So also the question, what would help young people to understand the world?
And that is the end of national news. International news follows next. Welcome back, and in international news. Now, 2 weeks after former Sirisia MP John Wakole was sentenced to 67 years in jail after being found guilty of corruption, calls for his release has grown, with President William Ruto being asked to intervene to prevent his release.
From the outset that I will endeavor to lead the DCI in the most professional manner and adhere to the supreme law of the land, the Constitution of Kenya.
Now, North Korea has fired 100 of artillery shells off its eastern and western coast as South Korea carried out annual defense drills aimed at boosting its ability to respond to Pyongyang's nuclear and missile threats. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that North Korea fired some 250 shells off its eastern and western coast late on Tuesday and launched an additional 100 rounds starting at around midday on Wednesday. It said the shells did not land in South Korean territorial waters but fell inside maritime buffer zones. The two Koreans established under a 2018 inter-Korean agreement aimed at reducing frontline animosities. Now, the incident marked the second time North Korea has fired shells into the buffer zones since last Friday, when it shot hundreds of shells there in its most significant direct violation of the 2018 agreement. Now, each year, the World Health Summit takes place in Berlin under the patronage of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. It aims to tackle several challenges from healthcare in times of pandemic and dealing with climate change and developing digital technologies. DW correspondent Emmanuel Shays joins us to talk about it. Emmanuel, what are the biggest challenges that are discussed at the summit this year?
Well, first off, this summit was for the first time co-organized together with the World Health Organization. 4,000 participants in Berlin only, with the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, still top of the agenda. But not just this pandemic, also the Ebola outbreak was on the agenda, with German Health Minister Karl Lauterbach saying outbreaks are mandatory but pandemics are optional, and that people needed, to send well-educated people on the ground with the relevant skills to tackle those pandemics. So the challenge is the modernization of the health system, the digitization of health strategies. Also, the challenge will be to help people who are in conflict zones. We're talking about over 2 billion people in the planet who are living in such zones. So many topics that have been addressed during that summit.
This year's motto is making the choice for health. What do the participants of that summit hope to achieve?
Well, there's one very significant goal that has been achieved, and that's the pledge of $2.6 billion that have been pledged to the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. So that's to end polio in the next years. This is something that was welcomed by the World Health Organization. That represents half of the sum they will need to carry the vaccine vaccination campaigns. But also the World Health Organization has warned that the virus was still spreading also to polio-free country, and not just where there have been hotspots in the past. I'm thinking about Afghanistan, Pakistan, Mozambique, to name but a few. Also, it's about securing financial flows to invest in health, in digital transformation, and more. That kind of summit is also aimed at favoring more cooperation on an international level. For example, to develop COVID apps, to detect pandemics earlier, and to coordinate health databases worldwide.
Climate change and parliamentary health is listed as one of the topics. Tell us more.
Well, it's definitely be addressed. There's an urgency to implement measures, to implement change to address planetary health. And while this has been addressed by decision makers at the summit, it's also something that has been addressed by the public. Protests were prompted during Chancellor Olaf Scholz's address by activists from Scientists' Rebellion. This shows that the issue is a burning topic in society, and it's not just up to world leaders and decision makers to discuss it. It's also something the general public wants to be part of.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for those updates. And that is the end of international news. Business news is next after the break. Welcome back, and in business news tonight. The National Cashew Nut Board has planned to help cashew nut processing groups in the country, a large percentage of whom are women, so as to implement an inclusive industrial economy.
Kama bodi ya korosho, moja yetu ya jukumu moja kubwa sana.
As Cashew Nut Board, one of our main responsibility is implement industrial economy inclusiveness. We would like to see women groups involved in cashew nut value chain, like making cashew nut butter or cashew nut milk.
Wanawake watanufaika katika kujifunza utaalamu mbalimbali.
Women will benefit a lot, especially in entrepreneurship opportunities. The company is focusing on women and industrial economy in Mtwara. The target is to add value to local produce. We have had training on cashew nut, what products can be made from the crop. Right now we are learning how to make juice out of cashew apple.
Kwenye tumeanza jinsi ya zile korosho karanga, tumefika huko.
Now experts and tax officers of Tanzania Revenue Authority and Zanzibar Revenue Authority have met in Arusha in order to resolve challenges experienced by large taxpayers, including those invested in the tourism sector.
Tuko katika mwendelezo wa kukutana na
We are continuing to hold sessions with taxpayers, being efforts of listening to their grievances and challenges they face in their business and tax issues. These are directives of Honorable President Samia Suluhu Hassan in order to solve challenges faced by traders in the country to foster voluntary taxpayers.
Watalii wanaokuja bara.
Most tourists who come to Tanzania mainland usually end their trips in Zanzibar. When a tourist comes to Tanzania mainland, they pay all taxes on this side. What we're trying to do here is educate them on simplification of taxes payments and hear out their challenges.
Tunachokutana hapa ni kuwaelewesha tuna utaratibu gani wa kurahisisha wa kufanya biashara.
The Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Anthony Mavunde, has urged corporation unions to use the opportunities in sugarcane and sunflower to help reduce costs that were being used by the government to order the two commodities from out of the country.
Nchi yetu itaanza kujitosheleza na sukari kuanzia mwaka 2025.
Our country will be sugar sufficient by 2025. The deficit that we face right now is 5,000 metric tons. We urge you to participate in adding value to agricultural produce. There are many opportunities in the sector. We have not yet met our edible oil targets. The demand in the country is 650,000 tons annually. Our production capacity right now is not more than 200,000 tons.
Sheria iko wazi. Na sikudanganye yeyote. Sheria iko wazi.
Ownership laws are quite obvious because it identifies both genders. A woman can own land, a man and a woman can own land. Even groups can own land.
Sheria iko wazi. Isipokuwa tu ni ile notion imejaa kichwani kwamba mwanamke ametengwa hana fursa ya kumiliki. Sio kweli. Sheria.
And that is the end of business news. Sports news follows up next. Welcome back, and in sports news, the Deputy Minister of Culture, Arts and Sports, Pauline Gekulu, has commended the Serengeti girls for entering the Under-17 World Cup quarterfinals on behalf of President Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Mheshimiwa Rais anawapongeza kutoka moyoni.
Honorable President has congratulated you. Even the Minister of Sports was following up the match closely.
Na changamoto ya mipango ambayo mama alikuwa anaipanga akiwa makamu wa rais, akiwa mlezi wa timu za wanawake kwamba twende.
Honorable President is part of this history of witnessing our team qualifying to World Cup quarterfinals.
The Under-23 Ngorongoro Heroes national team coach Hemedi Suleiman has said that the team is doing well in training and has faith that the players will do the country proud in the AFCON qualifiers on Saturday's match against Nigeria, with the match to be played in the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium.
Jambo la msingi kwamba ni wachezaji ambao tayari wamepita katika kategori under 17, under 20.
They are players that have passed through under 17 and under 20, where they've already faced Nigerian players. We have tried to prepare our players psychologically, although Nigeria is a very big team.
Tupo vizuri, tunaendelea vizuri na kempu na mwalimu wetu.
The preparations of the camp are going on well. We are going to a tough game, but we believe that according to our preparations we shall perform well.
jinsi kempu yetu ilivyo, morali ipo juu, kwa hiyo na imani tutapata matokeo.
Now, moving on, the annual goat races for 2022 are expected to be held on November 5th of this year at the Green Grounds in Dar es Salaam. Now, moving on, boxers from the Firestone Tandika camp have expressed confidence of emerging victorious against their opponents in the upcoming Dar Boxing Derby on November 20th, 2022 at the Kinesi Grounds in Dar es Salaam.
Taking place on the 5th of November, and it will be held at the Green in Oyster Bay. The time in which, when it will start will be 12 o'clock noon, all the way to 6 o'clock in the evening. We welcome all families, adults and children, everyone is welcome. We will sell tickets at the door, at the gate, and so everyone is welcome.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Khadija Zimbo. Thank you for watching and good night.